there's like uranium stored on the to make a bomb? Because that stuff is not enriched to that point.
But that's why it's
They send stuff here to Oak Ridge. They send stuff from Hanford to Los Alamos.
interesting.
Clock is a little.
I'll talk about this later. I know a lot about this.
Listen to an audiobook about it.
Especially in Denver, where there's two nuclear facilities out there where they used to make nuclear triggers, and that they had a fire that sent nuclear smoke all over Denver in the 70s. It's
I don't
quite
wanna live near one
fascinating.
of those.
Fascinating.
Welcome. City of Monroe Planning Commission meeting, October 21st, 2025. Note that all the members of the board members are present with us today. Y'all had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes.
We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All aye?
Aye.
Very good, all right. And minutes of the previous meeting, that was September 16th, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to review those, and any questions?
No
Approve.
questions. Move we approve.
Motion to approve?
I move we approve.
Second?
Second.
Favor? Okay, all
What
right.
was that motion? Rosalind and Shauna.
I think I'm skipping ahead too fast, all right.
Oh, no, you're good. I just couldn't hear y'all.
Okay, all right. All right. Next is report from Code Officer. Brad?
I do want to mention one thing this evening to the planning commission is that we do have a new employee for the planning department that will start on Monday. The planning department is growing and expanding. There will be a historic preservation planner starting on Monday, and she will be our planner one.
Very
Her
good.
name is Lexi Robinson. She was born and raised in Griffin, and she's currently working in the city of Madison. She has a master's in historic preservation, and she will be an asset to the Historic Preservation Commission. Not so much the planning commission, but she will serve a role in the planning department and helping us with plats and things like that. So she'll be doing a little bit for the planning commission stuff, but her primary role will be helping the HPC.
That's exciting.
Sounds good.
And we have offered a position to a senior planner that will be primarily helping you guys.
Nice.
So we're creating a planning department.
Very good.
So hopefully there's some exciting things on the horizon. And hopefully that gentleman will be coming to join us. So I don't make any promises on that, but hopefully he will be joining us too. So this is kind of exciting news.
So when do you think, if so?
For the gentleman,
Yeah.
I think he's currently in a role, a pretty high role at the location he's at now, and I think he's got some decisions to make about joining us, and obviously family and things like that. So he needs to make a decision about moving here and joining us. But it's looking pretty good, promising, and I know this gentleman pretty well. So hopefully we do, and then you'll get to meet these folks here soon.
Great,
All
very
right.
good. Okay. Anything else?
No, sir, that was it.
Okay. All right. Old business, there are no old agenda items, so we'll move on from that. And new business, open the new business, starting with the first item below. And this is Certificate of Appropriateness, number 4010, 1200 South Broad Street, site and exterior building improvements. Brad?
Yes, sir. This is, if you're familiar, this is that old neighborhood scale church down there on the corner of West Fambro and South Broad Street. It's been there for a number of years, kind of not been occupied for a while. It's got the blue doors in the front, blue ramp. Got right there on the corner there. Hadn't been occupied in a while. So what they're proposing to do, and this actually came in front of the Planning Commission several years ago for a similar sort of upgrade. They wanted to turn it into a commercial building. So that's what they're proposing to do to you this evening, is to turn that building into a commercial operation. I believe they want to convert it into a beauty salon. So they're proposing to you this evening is to move that ramp out of the front, put a ramp on the side of the building that faces their existing gravel parking lot, and kind of enhance the entrance there with a little, looks like a little bit of curbing in this drawing here. And then, let's see here, there's another little plan here they're showing. They're going to kind of somewhat delineate that gravel parking there. Now, you can have a parking lot in the city of Monroe when it's less than 10 spaces. It can be gravel. So that's been that way for a number of years. There's no issue with that specifically, but they got to pave their ADA parking. So they're going to pave that to get to their ADA ramp. So that issue is not a problem for this particular site. But they've got, part of their building is actually in the right-of-way of West Fambro, and you can hardly see it there, but put a little arrow there. Part of this little notch here is in the right-of-way there, which is not really something they're trying to do. But you can see how there's overhead power lines here, and then the front of the building here is very close to the right-of-way. So they're going to provide some little bit of landscaping there where they can. That existing sign there is the only thing that's kind of a bugaboo here, and I've got to address that in some conditions. So we've recommended approval of that. So that stanchion sign's got to go. It's in the right-of-way. They can't have that, but they can have a sign. They just need to put it somewhere else on the property. It probably needs to be further south on the property, maybe along their southern frontage, so it's not in the right-of-way itself. And that's all we're asking them to do is remove that sign, maybe relocate it and follow our sign regulations. And then that one plan that kind of shows some delineation of curbing, we're asking them just to kind of provide that delineation there in that second condition. is some type of entrance where there's paving. If GDOT's gonna make them probably do some type of paving and delineation there, just at the throat of entering the property there. Nothing too extreme to get into the unpaved parking itself. That's all that I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Do we have some here to speak? Will you come forward, please, and stand to the microphone?
Yes, will
Tell
I
us-
get a
tell us-
copy of what you recommended?
Yes, ma'am, and we do have that online. I'm sorry, we didn't provide you a copy in an email. I didn't have your email address, or I would have shot that to you.
Would you tell us who you are, please?
I'm Gail Burgess. I'm buying the building. I'm purchasing the building, and we plan on, painting the brick and, a dark gray. We're gonna take that ramp down because I know it's on 6 feet of the right-of-way.
Okay. Can you speak up a little bit, please?
I know the ramp is 6 feet, onto the right-of-way, or 6 inches, I can't remember, but we are taking that down and we're painting it. Yeah, I think it'll be a nice look to it if you've looked at my plans, I think it'll turn out very nice and all, and I don't really have anything to say other than I got a lot of work ahead of me to do. So where'd I go online to get your
It's a
recommendation?
link on our webpage that's to the calendar for tonight. There's a hot link at the bottom of our page. I think it's the third link from the left, is that right? There's forms, and it says calendar, and for tonight, if you go down to calendar, it'll say planning commission for tonight.
Okay,
But if you want to stick around after the meeting and give me your email too, I can also just email it to you,
okay.
instead of you having to write all this stuff down. It's really just simply about,
Yeah, because I want to make sure.
absolutely, when you come to get your building permit, we're just going to make sure that you do that, what you've shown, you've basically shown that to us on your plan, and we're just going to ask that you do that. That's what the second condition.
So you're saying the sign is on the right of way?
It's actually way out in the right of way itself, if you measure
Yes.
the right of way, so.
Yes.
But, and the second layer of your ramp is where that line, is really where that right of way line is. It's not the first part of your ramp, it's the part where it juts out, that's where the right of way line is. And so the sign's like further out than that.
Right,
You can have a sign, you just can't have that one.
right. Well, I'm planning on putting one at the top of the
You
gable.
can do that. That's
You
gonna
know.
be on- Yeah, you can have one on your building.
Yeah, but I had wanted to do 2, but once I look at your email or whatever, I think I'll understand more what I've got to do.
We need to look at and then we'll need to look at that wall sign when you want to talk about that one too.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Yes, I think it'll be an improvement to down on that part of South Broad. I think you'll enjoy it.
All right. Well, thank you. Is anyone here to speak in opposition to this? Not. Do we have questions from the members of the committee here?
None?
You want to have a motion?
Motion to approve with conditions?
Second?
Aye for everybody?
Aye.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. If you have any questions about that, let me know.
Okay, motion passes. All right. Next is special exception variance 4060, 250 Highway 138, Tokyo. Brad?
Yes, sir. I promise, this is the last time to the applicant, the property owner, and this commission that you're gonna see Tokyo this year. This is the third time you've seen him. All right, so they had to do these things in a progression because they couldn't do these things all at once, but they have fully complied with all of what they needed to do, but they're now back in front of you for the final time to resolve their issues on their site. So they're coming before you now to expand their parking lot after they've gotten all their previous approvals. So this is a special exception variance as permitted under the 5 exceptions they're allowed to do to expand their parking lot. And so they fully comply with everything else on their site when it comes to the corridor design overlay district. And now they're simply asking to expand that parking to the rear of their site. Just to get a sharper look there at the back of the site, they're putting the parking at the very rear where they have planned to expand the parking previously in the past. They need this special exception variance by council, as the ordinance requires, to increase it beyond 120%. In this case, it's going to go to 232%. Now, that seems like an excessive amount of parking, and throughout the city, we normally would not be encouraging of that amount of parking, but the unique operation of their restaurant, they have a vast number of staff members on any given basis, and currently they're shuttling from their current or their previous location at the Paradise Shops. And so they're highly constrained. Their customers they have a high customer count, a high seat count, and they have a high number of staff members on staff at any given time during a shift. So it is a unique situation when it comes to the number of parking. I think the special exception rule for increasing the number of parking spaces is applicable in this case. So, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, is to recommend approval to City Council as submitted without any conditions. And that's all that I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this?
Hi, my name is Ki-young Kim. I'm architect and also owner's rep. This is simple for, not simple for the owner because they didn't expect the number of parking for their business before. So we asking for some expansion of parking spaces. So I think that's it for presentation. And then any question I can answer for you.
Any questions of the committee here? Is anyone here to speak in opposition to this? If not, thank you. Hearing none.
Motion to
Questions?
approve?
Pardon?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next, hardship variance, 4062-109 Walker Drive. Is someone here to speak for that?
Let me give you a breakdown real quick, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, you're quite all right. So this is a hardship variance for 109 Walker Drive, and you've got a site plan that was presented to you for essentially it's supposed to be a wholesale landscaping supply business, and as you've seen on the plan that was provided for you, they've got several storage bins and things of that nature on the existing entrance to the site there off of Walker Drive. And they're going to have these outdoor storage bins that will be on basically the western side of the property, and they'll have loading areas. But the gist of the request is they don't want to pave the loading and loading areas for those bins or any of the parking areas. But the primary issues are that Section 1108 and basically Section 530 of the ordinance requires these areas to be paved. And so this would be a non-residential use that requires those things to be paved. They're asking for, this is not a special exception variance rule. This is a hardship rule because there are no exceptions for those. So they're asking basically to eliminate the parking requirement as a hardship variance. So this one is a bit difficult because they are asked to, under the hardship variance rules, I'm recommending denial of that because they're supposed to prove to you the hardship standards. There's 4 of those that says that when you're asking for a hardship variance, they have to meet 4 criteria. And in this case, there has to be, and I'll read these to you, there has to be at least an extraordinary or an exceptional condition that are subject to the property. This is a square property. There's nothing unusual about the shape of this property or its topography or its size. There's nothing about our ordinance in this case, it's the second issue, is creating a hardship. So the question is, can this be paved? And the answer would be yes. And is there any condition or peculiar to the subject property? The answer is no. So there's nothing yet that's been basically checked that starts to elevate this to a hardship level. And then relief if granted, would it cause substantial detriment to the public good? Well, if you've read my staff report, it would set a precedent throughout the city that non-residential uses should not pave They're commercial sites. So Walmart wants to do unpaved parking, we set a precedent. So the issue there is that none of the hardship variance standards have been generated to grant a hardship variance request. And so there are further limitations that, go along with a hardship variance. Those are the limitations. So when a hardship variance is being requested, how is this being created? So did the applicant create this, or did the environment create this? In this case, the applicant has created the condition by asking for the hardship variance. There's nothing preventing pavement of the site. This is the decision made by the applicant. And so, is this a change in conditions of zoning? No, not necessarily. I think I put number 2 as one of the reasons, but it's not. There's no change in conditions of zoning, and I put that in my staff report. There's no change in zoning. The property is zone B3. But there would be a conference of special privileges to the property owner, because obviously they wouldn't have to pave. As other property owners in the city, if they're zone B3 and they're developing their property for commercial purposes, like Bojangles or someone at Pavilion, and they have to pave and follow our rules, they are getting a special privilege here that those property owners are not. And so would this permit a special use of land or buildings? Well, the B3 land use in this property is a wholesale use of landscape materials and supplies, and as I said in my staff report, it appears that this land use is not permitted based on the description the applicant provided to us. Well, this is going to be open to the general public. The land use restriction in the code says it has to be wholesale, not open to the general public, which would be a retail use. And so there may be some confusion there. I don't know if that needs to be clarified by the applicant or not tonight, but it would have to be strictly to a wholesale situation, which I don't know what that looks like. And so I'll go into a little bit deeper dive into that in the ordinance, if you read that if it's going to be wholesale, we're talking about something pretty grand. It's something that doesn't fit on a half-acre size property, right? And so I pretty much said that number 4 may be an issue that needs to be delved into further, and obviously that would be an issue for number 5, is that we simply need to require the site to be paved in order for this to work. So that was the recommendation for denial for this hardship variance request, and that's all that I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is anyone here to speak for this?
My name is Matt Peters, owner of 5P Land Management, based here in Walton County. Brad, can we back up to the site where I can maybe explain what we're trying to do? Okay, so here's the picture of the existing, what's already on this site. And if you'll notice, I've done my best to try to mark out, the entryways, the pathways. On the lower end of the office building, we'll have parking spots that are already, there. There's paved, there's a concrete walkway into the building there. There's a concrete on the front. And then along the side, like Brad pointed out, all the storage and, miscellaneous mulch, rock, things such as that we're going to offer, pine straw. And the reason, I think there may be some confusion maybe on our part of what we're asking for, or I really don't know where the ball got dropped there, but we're pretty much asking to open it as is, or if there's any recommendations. I feel like we were told we had to pave the entire place. And then when I ask of options, so maybe it's my fault for not understanding the variants or the codes and whatnot, but after speaking with Brad a few times, that's what's led us to where we are right now. So the wholesale versus retail makes a lot of sense to me, the way he just explained it again. The idea here is that people within the city of Monroe and Walton County would call and or pull in the parking lot and request us to bring them something, whether it be pine straw, mulch, whatever material it would be, and, which we would load with our machines on our trucks, landscapers, things like that want to bring their own equipment, truck or trailer, we'll be loading them as well. So I guess the hiccup has been the paving of the area, and we're not necessarily saying we're unwilling to do anything. We just would maybe like some guidance on what we can do and maybe get things open and see where we're at. Maybe in the future. There's an apron coming in, you know, to help keep things out of Walker Drive on both gates. It's hard to see in this picture, but there's a back entrance there too. So there are some things in place to, you know, that was kind of mentioned to try and help with the materials getting out into Walker Drive. Another thing with the site is the less disturbance on it. Everything is gravelled and/or landscaped at this point. There'll be no dirt, no turning over of anything, and I guess guidance is what we're looking for on this deal.
I hear you. However, I must say, it seems like it's a precedent issue, because you made the illustration a while ago, Brad did, about if another place, building, whatever, was going to create a situation where a surface needs to be paved, and we allowed it not to be paved. I think the issue is the precedent it sets. You could agree with that, Brad?
Yeah, and I mean, and Matt and I had met a few times and talked about this, so I mean, it's not like he and I hadn't had the discussion about what would happen, you know, in the event of asking for the hardship variance itself. I mean, and there's also the issue too, I mean, when you take a look at the zoning on this screen behind you, you've got an edge effect here that is really kind of not conducive for what the situation's going on here. You've got a property where there never was any really intense property usage that was never fully exercised in any of its history, from what I can tell. There was a highway commercial zoning district, which could have been a gas station for all I know. It never really was fully exercised to that extent in its past. It was very passively used. In fact, it was a salon for a long time, or something pretty benign. I don't know what the heck was on this property in the past, other than that was what it was in the most recent memory. But I mean, sitting directly next to this property, that's a roof of a house.
Yeah, it's the start of the neighborhood.
So, I mean, you have a serious edge effect here where you don't have a transition in land uses that would be from a high intensity intent of land uses from B3, because there's some gnarly land uses that are allowed in B3 that go from there to R1A. So you don't even have the B3 to a P to a R, you know, to a B2, B1, a neighborhood commercial use here. We don't have that benefit of transitioning to, we're talking about our Euclidean separation here. We don't have that benefit here because it's hard-edged, high-intensity commercial uses straight to a low-density R1. And I mean, if I were the neighbor next door, I sure as heck wouldn't want anything, if I didn't know what was next to me in B3, and they didn't know any better. Now, I know it's owned by a tenant, I mean a landlord, you know, it's not owned by a person, it's owned by a person that rents that home. But that's not, may not always be the case. So how do we address the situation? I mean, there is supposed to be a little bit of buffering and screening that the owner has to provide that gets these things away from the property line, but that may not be enough when there's equipment pounding up against these bins, and I mean, he's got to bring product onto the site, and so that has to be filled, it has to be replenished, and so there's a lot of things that I think question the land use itself. That's what brought up the second, you know, does this land use fit? Is there an issue here? I think that's where the wholesale comes in for number 4, is that I don't think this land use fits. If it's wholesale, then it does only, but the retail part, based on the description that I was reading in his application, was I think that land use doesn't fit if it's open to any customer to come onto his site. Anybody, me, you, anybody, to drive onto his site and buy his material, then it may not, that use is not going to be permitted on the site, because that would be basically retail landscape supply. Me going to Ace, me doing any of that, right? Buying the bag stuff at Ace, the same thing, whether it's loose from him or in a bag or whatever. So I don't know what wholesale looks like except dump truck size stuff. I mean, how big is, when you say wholesale, how big would that look?
Well, that's the question. I think, me and you've discussed that before. That's kind of the, I guess, the gray area between the two is the idea and the direction here is mainly directed to homeowners and us delivering these materials. Now, when we're bringing them in, you're talking, you know, I'd say 8 to 10 tons of mulch, 8 to 10 tons of rock dumped in a bin, and then we would then load, you know, possibly a scoop, which is a half a ton roughly, or, you know, whatever the customer requested for us to deliver there. So the wholesale versus retail, and as far as a quantity of it, I'm not sure, you know, where it's going to fall in there.
I mean, that delineates it some. If you're delivering to a customer elsewhere, that starts to break that part down where there's not actual me driving my car onto your site to buy it directly from you. That eliminates that concern that you're taking it somewhere else, but still,
It sounds like retail to me.
well, I mean, that could be technically wholesale from his site. If he's holding it there and he brings whatever his product is processed somewhere raw somewhere else, and he drops it there, holds it, and then extracts it there, and then takes it somewhere else, that technically could be wholesale, technically. But the use is very unusual because it's allowed in two places in our zoning ordinance, M1 and B3. Those are intense. It's an unusual land use because, I mean, it's not even allowed as retail. It's only allowed as wholesale in our zoning ordinance. So I don't know who wrote that in our code. I didn't. But I'm trying to. I mean, to his his credit, he's asking for something that's in our ordinance. So I mean, it's not like it's not there, but it's an unusual zoning category to where it's allowed. So I don't know that anyone ever anticipated someone asking for it to be on a 6/10 of an acre tract on Walker Drive. They probably thought, well, this will be on Highway 138,
Right.
and so it's not. It said before you tonight on Walker Drive, and so. And then he wants special privileges on the Walker Drive because you've got a legacy property on Walker Drive that obviously from many eons ago of many of the properties you have in Monroe that just never saw asphalt in its day, and now he wants to keep it like it is. So, and that's why I just had to go with the recommendation that I did. I just don't think it checks the boxes to make this use work on the property for the types of intensity that he does. I mean, because here's the thing is that when Mr. Peters leaves, you have to look through it, in my opinion, through the lens of when Mr. Peters moves on from his business, you're now going to have a non-residential use on the property, potentially still zone B3, and it's still going to be unpaved. And we're going to be left with a legacy of nonsense. Yes, absolutely.
In this application, you said paving this location would possibly cause runoff issues for neighbors. Can you go into that a little bit more? And that's the reason why you filled it out.
Well, if you, once again, the Butler buildings that surround the lower corner of there, right now, I'm not aware of any issues. I hadn't spoke to Blake to see if there's any issues there, but from our property, looking down, there's no flooding issues or things such as that running into the back corner of our building because the gravel helps slow and allow the groundwater to soak in before it gets to the bottom of that hill. Because, Brad, it's square and it's somewhat flat, but when you get about middle ways to where the last bend is, it turns downhill. And we've got cypress trees and some things, to try to make a buffer between us and the back of that building. But when we pave all that, it's going to be a ramp. All the water now coming through there, turning down, if it's coming off Walker Drive or if it's just coming from the top half of our parking lot, it's just going to go right into the back of right into the back of that building right there.
Do you want to design any way to contain it or anything? If you're going to did the parking lot? Just let it sheet off?
Well, no, because because that's not fair to him and that's not appropriate to do it that way. If you pave the whole upper half of this parking lot, there will probably have to be, I'd have to call my engineer to ask about a site plan there, but there'll probably have to be some form of pond, which at that point in time probably is going to cut off, let's see, a third or so of the bottom of the property to where these lower couple of bends are in this picture would probably be the area needed to stop that water from going down, just rushing down that hill to the back of his building.
Any other comments for or against this proposal? Yes, sir.
My name is Tom Chick. Good evening. So I'd like to explain just a little bit about the property. So before, they used to melt what I understand is like an iron ore, steel, these kind of casting type metals, and they would cast drain water covers for the sewers and waters. That's what it was used for years and years. That's where that business started with. After her husband died, I think her name was Cochran, but she had a hair salon there for a number of years. And she sold me, I'm the landscaper and own the property across the street, that building there. So we service mostly commercial business in the landscape. Pine straw, mulch, sand, gravel, so on and so forth. Longhorns, Olive Gardens, those kind of restaurants. And what's happened over the years is people stop and say, hey, can I buy some pine straw or can I buy some gravel? And we're like, no, we're not set up for retail. It's only wholesale. We service a commercial business, your car dealerships, your restaurants, HOAs, things like this. We're not set up to even take a credit card or sales tax or nothing. We have no way to sell you. Well, we just want 10 bales of pine straw. I'm like, well, we just can't sell it, you know? So Matt, I buy pine straw from him. Other people, I get the sand, the gravel, the mulch. And they said, well, Tom, why don't you open it up and let the people in downtown Monroe buy from you? And Matt and I talked about it. And, you know, truthfully, it's become a challenge. And I kind of got in something over my head because my business is fine without this. And his is too. But could we service downtown Monroe with sand and gravel and mulch and pine straw? Older people, we could, because we could take it to them. Could we even also install it? We could. Could they bring a truck on site and get a few bales of straw or mulch? We can do that for them too. So I have mixed feelings about it. I will go on to say that if you look at where it says office, behind that brown building there is the indoor shooting range, okay? It runs from that brown office building all the way down to that right rear corner, the indoor shooting range. They shoot there from about 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 at night, all day long. We're talking rapid machine gun fire too. They have full machine gun. So that's that noise. On the left side of me is a landscaper who also wants to buy a product from me, and I can't sell it to him. Okay. Behind me is, once again, Trading Place, who has an indoor shooting range, and they do some shirt design there for one of their retail customers here in Monroe. He owns that. Across the street is Golden Pond, which is vacant, and behind that is another building I own, part of my landscape business. So where do we go from here? I don't know. I feel like Matt, we're willing to do something, but how much do we do? You know, if you find, let's say that we put out gravel or asphalt. The first delivery we get is going to crack. The first time we get a delivery with rock or sand, they're going to crack concrete. Put asphalt in there, you know, these are people that are going to come in, back up, dump our stuff, leave, and the retail customer is few and far between. Where I think it's going to help Monroe is the older people want you to deliver it to them. They want to come up there, buy it, maybe take it home, probably get it set up, delivered by us, and so do the people passing by. They just want a few bales of pine straw, scoop of mulch, throw in the back of a pickup truck, do it themselves. That's what we're trying to do, is service Monroe. And if we talked about it, if we service Monroe, we'd deliver it for free as a courtesy to downtown Monroe, okay? So I don't know any other way to explain it, but if you got any questions, I'm happy to try to answer anything else you got for me.
Board members?
So you're saying that your hardship would be the fact that the trucks that would bring in the product are going to damage the paving as they come in?
They would, no doubt. They would damage the concrete or the asphalt coming in, making those delivery with those trucks weighing, you know, 200,000 and 300,000 pounds. They would tear it up. They would roll up the asphalt when it was hot in the summer, and they would break the concrete. And you know, most people is going to pull on that yard. they're gonna pull up, where it says office, there's a glass window, Matt or I'll walk out, how can we help you? I just need 10 bales of pine straw to go. Give it to them. Or they're gonna pull up and say, hey, I need you to bring me 2 loads of mulch. We'll load it up and deliver it downtown Monroe for free. So it's not set up for retail like to go in and buy pruners and gloves and hedge trimmers or something. They're just coming in to buy a product and leave.
But it's still retail.
That piece would be,
So you're not wholesale, you're retail.
I am wholesale right now.
But this would end up being retail,
It would allow us
which,
to accommodate with landscape supply products, yes, on the retail side.
Back on the asphalt, so considering you're saying these big trucks will be coming in, I'd imagine you'd probably be required for the paving, it would probably have to be heavy-duty paving, which, I mean, based on the specs, it would be able to probably handle the majority of those in and out, but if you know, light-duty, obviously, it would
Pull your mic down for me, Bonnie. if you could.
microphone.
Sir?
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Well, the other thing is, they really, a big truck, I mean, let's say like a tractor trailer, they can't get in there and turn around. So whatever trucks do deliver are gonna be on the smaller delivery truck side, kind of
Okay.
like your box dump trucks, if you will.
I gotcha.
And they're gonna have to back in right there at that front gate, which is in front of that office. So they back in. There's not an area for a tractor trailer to turn around. I think, you know, like Mr. Brad said, it's only what, a quarter of an acre or something? So,
Are you saying that they'll have to back in off of Walker Drive?
what's that?
Are you saying they'd have to back in from Walker Drive? Is that what you were saying? They'd have,
Do now is, that's correct. We
That-
go in that way, we turn around at the bottom and come out at the top. But a tractor
they
trailer
come into
can't
the
do
site,
that.
But they're not backing out into Walker Drive to maneuver into the site.
Right.
'Cause,
But I'm
yeah,
saying a tractor trailer cannot.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that part I agree with. But your 6 wheels or your 8 wheels or whatever's coming in there now, they don't use Walker Drive to do the maneuvering. Okay, that's what I just want clarification on that, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, we need a motion to allow the variance or not.
I move we deny.
A second.
Deny?
Yes.
It's unanimous. All right. Sorry, but we understand your position very well. We really do, but that's the decision, so. All right. So, who made the motion? In the second? And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. All right. Next.
So your final action tonight, yes, a preliminary plat, and I don't think I've got the applicant here, but this is a straightforward preliminary plat. This was for Peter Missouri. I don't think he was able to make it here this evening. But this is for the Jacks out on Highway 78 and Acock Avenue. So this is your multifamily development that was developed here in the past year and a half. I believe the multifamily development is fully operating and mostly full now at this point. But they had reserved an area in the corner there on Acock and 78 to be a commercial lot. This was part of their rezone pattern book when it was zoned for commercial, which was part of their multifamily pattern book. And so they have this little commercial lot they want to subdivide off. They need a preliminary plat first because this lot was part of a big master plan development for the industrial park years ago. So they're required to go through a major subdivision process, which is what you see before you. And it's just the 2 lots there you see. Multifamily lot will be 24 acres roughly, and then the tract there, there on the corner there will be about a little bit under 2.5 acres. Now, it'll be accessed from the existing access points that are already built, and it'll have easements and, throughout that property to get to the commercial tract. It's restricted to have a 5,000 square foot building per their covenants and their pattern book, and it's pretty straightforward. The recommendation is to approve as submitted. All the corrections have been met, and I didn't mean to go to that slide.
All right. So, So there's no,
I don't think he was able to make it here tonight, but all the corrections have been met for the preliminary plat. It's a technical review and it's been completed.
I motion to approve it.
second. Favor aye.
Aye.
Right?
Was that Kim? You seconded that?
Yes.
Well, it looks like we are adjourned. All in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, folks.
Aye.
Bumped through that one, but okay.